All right. Hey, team. So, what we're going to go over here is the 2021 marketing plan and some of the things that we've done and what I propose that we need to do moving forward in order to unify the business. So, let's go through this presentation. So, we're going to talk about 5 key points. The first one is reflection on 2020 on what happened in Kiva Juice, Nevada. We're going to talk about a scorched earth approach to marketing and what we did. What we learned this year. We learned a ton this year. We're going to talk about Google versus Facebook and then owning the customer experience. So when you look at 2020, was that Stephen R. Covey said, begin with the end in mind. And in looking at this, when we look at our year-over-year sales for 2020, this is really ending November 22nd. We grew revenue by 29%. We've had net operating income of $613,000. We grew our net operating income by 59% over the prior year, over 2019. And we have some interesting data points. I'm going to attach this keynote into the email, but we have some interesting data points on what we did on delivery versus last year. We had a 300% increase in delivery. Most of our core items were up. Some items were down, but overall our business grew by 29.64%. The pandemic provided opportunities to increase our reach to customers that we never knew existed. So if you think of it 2 years ago, even a year ago, up until February, the entire business was predicated on somebody parking their car in the parking lot, whether it was snow or rain, getting out of their car, coming into the store, ordering, and having a great experience. The pandemic changed all of that. And as we look at delivery as an example, it clearly was a game changer. For us, we signed up to all delivery providers. And the reason that we did this was that on the delivery providers, they all operated independently. So Grubhub had their own loyalty program, DoorDash had its own loyalty program, Uber had its own program, and Postmates had its own program. So they were all building their own loyalty system as we went on in the pandemic. And we realized quickly that it was either one or the other. It's like having a store at multiple shopping malls within a city. If you're in one shopping mall, it doesn't necessarily mean that the other store that you're not in, like, you're not going to get any sales there. So if we weren't in Grubhub or Postmates or Uber, we weren't going to realize the benefit on the fact that they were building their own loyalty programs within their framework. And on this spreadsheet here, it shows you January from February, we went from 13% of our sales to delivery during the peak of the pandemic to 47% of our sales are delivery. And now 28% of our sales for last month was delivery revenue. And that was the difference between breaking even and not, which was interesting. I would say the other thing is delivery had a huge impact on our cost of goods. That was something that we didn't foresee. So when we look at 2020, if you think of Kiva Juice, I think we just talked about this a little bit. If you think of Kiva Juice, I mean, you have Kiva Juice, but in addition to just having this little tiny store, now you have DoorDash, you have Uber, you have Postmates, you have Grubhub, you have Kiva.com, you have social media, internal marketing, Google. We're going to talk about all of these things, all driving revenue. You have this big funnel, all driving revenue to the actual physical store location. When you look at us taking a scorched earth approach, we needed to tell as many customers as possible about our shift in strategy. How are we going to do that? How are we going to let people know we were open? How are we going to let people know the changes related to occupancy capacity and how they can order? And what we did was we leveraged our website and did an initial full shift on getting delivery front and center. So we leveraged our internal marketing database, which included about 24,000 email addresses. We focused on social media. We spent about $4,000 upgrading our POS system. And obviously we focused on internal signage in the store, but we did everything we could to let as many people know early on that delivery was the way to go. However, we're sending that business to a third-party delivery provider, and we'll talk about that a little bit. This just goes to show our point of sale system for 2020. We generated about $150,000 in tipped revenue, which we were able to then pass on to our employees. It made our business, early on, we had a lot of turnover, but later on, as employees are realizing that they're making a lot of money working for us, our turnover has dropped significantly. We grew our email database from 18,000 people in 2019 to over 25,000. And we went from text messages on the phone, we grew from 6,000. This is actually to about 20,000. There's a little typo there. It was about 20,000 people that we grew from a text messaging standpoint. When you look at our internal email database, these are people that we can now track on the square glass tablet that we have in the front of all of our stores. If we go back, you can see the glass tablet right here. That's in the front. That's prominently right in the front. It captures all the customers' information, makes it very simple. We're able to track how many people are signing up new per week. This was just this past week on loyalty. We can track our email. We can track text messages, receipts, you name it. From an internal standpoint, we can track that data and make decisions to help improve the customer experience and inevitably grow revenue within our business. I'm going to talk a little bit about social media. So now we have customers coming in our store. We're capturing that information. We know that we've had about 15 to 17,000 people a month go to our website. And what we wanted to do, if you look at this slide, we used what's called a Facebook pixel to capture single time a customer went to our website, it would capture that customer's information. From there, if the customer was on Facebook or Instagram, we could display ads to those customers. So if you think about it, the customers that are most loyal, that are going to our website, in order to increase traffic in our stores, we re-advertise to those customers. But in addition to that, we created what's called lookalike audiences, which are audiences that look like the customers that are coming in our store, and we re-advertise to those. And so from a social media standpoint, we created this circular effect where customers are coming in our stores, they're going to our website, they're going on social media, and we're remarketing to all of these customers. And it proved to be highly effective early on in seeing some dramatic shifts in our business. The great thing about Facebook and Instagram, we'll talk about some pros and cons on this later, but we can get really granular. You can see if we look, I don't have my mouse, but if you look on the picture on the upper right-hand side, the one that says Kiva Juice's Pixel, you can see that we have roughly about 17,000, go back here, we have roughly about 17,800 people a month that have visited our website. This is December over the last 30 days. We've had 4,100 purchase inquiries. These are customers that have gone to a shopping cart, they've gone to an order page, they're interested in making a purchase. And so we can take that data, and if you look on the left-hand side, we can geofence specific areas around our stores. And we could say, if this customer went to the website and they were within this geofence, send them a reminder that Kiva Juice is awesome. And again, in most cases, we feel that it proved effective based on our revenue growth. We learned a lot through this process, especially later on in the year, but clearly we had some substantial growth when it came to specifically targeting customers that were visiting our website. These are our customers. They're going to our website, and we're going to remind them that Kiva Juice is here, that the changes that we're making, the updates that we're making, the delivery, the online order, the curbside pickup. We're going to remind them of all of that through this circular approach of marketing. And in this case, so we're targeting our existing customers and customers like them. So what we told Facebook to do is go out in these areas within the geofence and find customers in similar, and let's see if we can get those customers to come visit too. So geofencing, this talks a little bit more about that. It maximizes our ad spend, and we can focus on key messaging, whatever it is in the moment. We have lots of messages that we sent out. For Facebook, it looks like we've had 1.3 million people visit see our Facebook ads. We spent about $6,700 in revenue, and which is basically nothing. It's a small fraction of our advertising budget. However, it puts our brand front and center. The next thing we'll talk about here is Google. So Google is a wonderful tool because Google allows us to, it's very inexpensive when it comes to average CPC, or what we call cost per click. So if you think online, the average customer is spending $15, but it's only costing us 35 cents per click with Google. Our Google advertising strategy had over 3 million impressions. Most of that was after August 1st. And we can talk a lot about some of the different campaigns. There's 3 different campaigns that you can do in Google. The first one is a search campaign. So you can buy specific AdWords. That's what we do. We buy our, like, Jamba Juice. Like, we have a competitor called Juice, Nectar Juice. We buy specific AdWords. And if people are coming out of town and they're searching Jamba Juice, we're going to come up in the search versus it searching for a Jamba Juice 200 miles away. Display ads are exactly that. Those are ads that display in like YouTube or news feeds or, Fox News or CNN. And smart searches are searches related to location. Like if you have a specific location you wanted to get visibility on, you could do what's called a smart search. Anyway, the benefits of Google, you can see some of the geofencing here. Cost is very inexpensive. Huge reach. Demographic target, you can target demographically, geographic targeting, and then you also have analytics to track the what you're doing. You have analytics to do that, to track to see whether or not the ads that you're running are working. So I love the geo approach to Google because we know exactly who our customer is, where they're coming from, what devices they're using, whether they're male, whether they're female, the interests that they're in, and we can take that data and retarget them to drive revenue. And this is a great example on the geo-targeting of Google. So if we look at this, and we can see the map of the United States, well, I can break this down, and I can see that 2,390 people that visited our website were from New Mexico. But a whopping 25% of our traffic this past year was in California. During the peak of the pandemic in August and September, when nobody could go on vacation and everybody was coming to Tahoe, 50% of our traffic was from California because we were able to target Jamba Juice, Nectar Juice, and all of those regional players. So really some interesting insights. We've got some people from India that visit us, things like that. So what we learned. So we hired a company in August called Hotjar to come in and analyze our current website and tell us what's working and what's not. And what Hotjar found out, it goes on to say this, is we wanted to understand how our customers were using the site, We analyzed over 1,000 website visits. They did screen recordings and analyzed heat maps. And we asked ourselves, could we optimize the website to grow revenue and profit? And so we learned that over 95% of the customers that are visiting our website wanted to make a purchase. They were there to buy because everybody was online, right? 80% of the web use was on mobile devices. We learned that 75% of the web traffic was on the top of the page. So even though we had this amazing content, nobody was scrolling down. They were there to buy. Anything below the top of the page, they were not interested in. They wanted to make a purchase. So it was at that time that we realized we needed to make a radical change on what we were doing in order to optimize our customers, our traffic, and the overall experience. So we're going to come to that a little bit, but when we looked at Google and Facebook, we learned that both had their benefits. Google clearly was the best bang for the buck. I mean, 35 cents a click. Facebook had great retracting tools for existing customers, meaning that we could retract our customers and we can take our existing customers that were visiting our website and remarket to those customers. We're spot on. We talked about that. Facebook and Instagram, however, the ROI was difficult from a traffic standpoint because a lot of people that are on Facebook or Instagram, smoothies are impulsively purchased. So it was difficult. It took time to track whether there was a return on investment on those results. Because you can't have a smoothie, well, you can now, but back then we couldn't ship a smoothie to you from Instagram. We can now, but back then it was difficult. We also learned from that through Hotjar, Google, and Facebook that we were sending people all over the place. They were going to kivajuice.com, then they were going to kiva.com, and then they were sending them to DoorDash. We were sending them to Weebly. We were sending them all over the place, and we needed to fix that in order to control the customer journey. So we needed to make some changes. Owning this customer experience. So we'll talk about Square and Weebly. So Square bought the web portal Weebly and invested over $100 million in customer integration tools. They invested in this technology, and this technology is readily available. There's no need, and people have subbed out to like Chow Now and Lavu and all these different companies. They're subbing out to all these different companies, but there's no need to do that in many cases because Square has all the integration under one umbrella. By having one framework that controls the journey, you also control the data. So when people are ordering on DoorDash or Uber, you have no idea. Like you don't really have much data that you can do anything with. But when they're all going to your website and you're controlling that in customer journey, you control that data, capture that information, and can help improve the customer experience over the long term to increase revenue. Loyalty points, marketing coupons, all integrated under one platform, including delivery, including curbside pickup. And you're now able to pivot and shift. It says shit. Pivot and shift in ways never imaginable. And so there's tools and resources that we haven't even begun to explore yet. We're super excited. We know we can control the journey around delivery and pickup because now they can do delivery directly through us, and we can analyze that data. So for example, if for some reason I'm spending $200 a day in fees in one store on just delivery fees, I'm probably going to look at doing my own delivery to save that revenue, right? Customer feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. And on the screenshots you see right here, it shows some of the geofencing tools, some of the parking tools. The results in the short term, we've only been doing this for 30 days on the new Weebly platform. 13,000 page views, 5,000 unique visits. Average page per visit is 2. By before we averaged about $1,500 a month in online ordering sales. An old typo. $1,500 a month in online ordering sales. Now we average over $11,000 in 30 days in November in the winter, right? So we grew tenfold almost in a very short amount of time. Under the old system, it was difficult to track conversion. We can do that now. We can track conversion. And under the old platform through WordPress, inventory integration was difficult, and we can track that now. We have better sourcing insights. So for example, Google, Kiva Juice, social media, all web referrals, we can track all that data directly under one platform. We have curbside ordering and geo ordering. So when a customer pulls up to the parking space, they scan the QR code, it prints out in the store and tells them the exact location of where they are in the parking lot. And we can have unlimited parking spaces. We could have 50 parking spaces. We could put little table tents in a mall and tell them exactly what table that they're in. Very cool. If you walk into the store with an iPhone, it'll and they go to our website, it'll create a tablet right there for them so that they can order in store. And to talk a little bit about the tools that we have that we use in order to accomplish all this is, we use the Adobe Creative Cloud, Hotjar. We use a system called Promo, Google Ads, Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics. We've contracted professional photographers that we've paid for, Fiverr, Adobe Stock, YouTube. We use Aperitif. A lot of tools that we use. And the reason why we talk about this is that there's a lot of science that we're putting into really making this work and really growing revenue. This isn't something hodgepodge or willy-nilly that we're just kind of figuring out. We've invested a lot of resources and a lot of money to create a framework. So looking into 2021, moving into 2021, what I want you to think about is Kiva Juice as one store. And you have one location. However, with this one location, you're actually bridging that store out into 5 to 8 more locations. So you're looking at it from all the delivery providers' perspective. You're looking at it from Kiva.com. You're looking at social media, internal marketing, and Google. And Kiva.com is going to be the base of that. Kiva.com is where everything that we do, whether it be on Google, whether it be on social media, whether it be on internal marketing, every single thing we do is going to be about driving traffic to Kiva.com. And then once they're at Kiva.com, we will generate clear, concise, specific messaging to drive revenue through delivery, online sales, or in-store traffic, and just overall branding. And we have that scorched earth opportunity to really drive it home. And so, as we look at the end of this presentation, this is what I'm proposing. And I'll send this proposal in a separate letter. The first one is to completely get rid of anything WordPress related. If you're running WordPress, that is not the framework that is going to be best suited for the business going forward. We need to strip that down. We need to transfer everything to the Weebly website, which will specifically integrate within your point of sale system. So that's door number one. That's going to be the first priority. Each store needs to be set up on their own internal delivery platform. That will be outsourced through Postmates and through DoorDash. And what's going to happen is if somebody goes to Kiva Juice Southwest and they go to do a delivery order, it's gonna shoot an email to Postmates and DoorDash. Whichever one grabs it first is gonna get the deal. But Postmates is much cheaper than DoorDash. By doing this, it's gonna be a flat fee versus a percentage. So now we have a situation where we can focus on increasing the average ticket, which will lower the delivery commission. So rather than having, so for us, for example, if the average ticket is, let's say it's $10, and you're having to eat a $2 delivery charge, the customer pay $5, we pay $2, that's 20%. Well, if you increase the ticket to $15, well, then that reduces the delivery to about 13%. And if they're spending $40 or $50, it lowers it from a percentage standpoint. The test on doing our own internal delivery is to see how much business we can pull away from DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber, and Postmates, and to see how much we can control that experience. And if it gets to a point where there's enough delivery, well, then we can look at other revenue generating things like Kiva Catering. We can look at, if there's a big office party of 100 people and you've got a Gardino's restaurant and we have some sandwiches and things like that we can put together, and you can do like a $2,000 catering order. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that we have by controlling the experience. That would be the first one. Curbside pickup, I'll show you this here. These are my beautiful new curbside pickup signs. These are bigger. The ones in Reno were smaller. They were 12 by 18. These are 18 by 27. And so basically they scan the QR code. At the point of sale system, it's gonna tell the customer what parking spot it is. So we have 2 parking spots, parking 1 and parking 2. It says it on the ticket, and they know exactly where to send the orders to. We can have as many of these as we want. If we want to take over the whole damn parking lot, screw them all. We'll frickin' take 50 spots if we have to. But this is really cool. We're rolling out to all of our stores. I'll also put together a proposal for some ongoing marketing. I do think you need to put together a budget of maybe $50 to $100 a month per store. And we've spent $20,000 this year on social media and Google advertising. Scorched earth. We want to be the dominant player. We don't want anybody questioning if they're a competitor that they should come into the Reno market. We'll probably double that next year. We spent a lot of advertising dollars later on in the year, but be in front of mind all the time. They say it takes 3 to 7 impressions for people to remember your brand. As transient as the states are right now, there's people moving all over the place. I think it's really important that you have you're spending some advertising on areas that isn't necessarily going to go to waste. Advertising can be subjective, but I think it's really important that you put together an ad budget. And then from a content standpoint, I think that we should partner up and have me get paid a small stipend to really, on an ongoing basis, manage this whole thing, because this is what I do. These programs that you are seeing me work on, just for our own locations, I probably spend 30 hours a week. When I redid the website, that whole process took me a week, probably 60 hours to revamp our website, to test. As we begin to transition things, there's some inventory management things that we need to worry about in all your locations. So if you have a can of Rockstar in your store, why not sell it on your website? If you have Taos bars in your stores, why not sell them on your website? But it requires an added layer of work for your team in order to do that. And so there's going to be a lot of work. I don't know how much of it you're going to want to pull me in to do these things, but also at the end of the day, to put together a system where we can start bringing both of our markets together and build this sucker so one of these days we can merge together and then blow it up. So anyway, sorry for being long-winded and sorry it took so long to get this presentation together. But again, if you have any questions, reach out to me and let me know.